league cast ever. So I'm nervous. I'm excited. And I think the teams are probably feeling the same as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the first game for a lot of many of these young players' careers, actually, especially when we look to this game. NSG, quite a lot of new faces on the scene. Just going to move these about because they're in the wrong place. But when we talk
Yeah.
about it,
So obviously
I don't know, sorry. When we
we've
talk
got
about
Nico again
experience,
underway.
we look to Bulldogs, actually, I would say, is the
Okay.
best one in the league in terms of that. We have three of the returning members from their UKLC squad. We have Ego Speed in the top lane, and we have their bot lane, Gould and Cat. So three very important parts of that team. Hopefully they can shine where they did in the UKLC similarly.
Yeah, it seems we're getting a lot of kind of conventional players well coming in. I think it's going to be interesting to see how things develop. Obviously, because I'm very much an element coming into this where I'm excited to see what some of these names that you're throwing around, what they've got to prove,
And
and what they can show.
Yeah, and jumping into the champion select as well, we did see a little Nocturne hover. That's a little ode to Ego Speed's little one trick. We do see the Karma being picked up, and now the Nico on the Bulldog side of things.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I think the bans have been really similar across the entire evening. I'm excited to see the Rek'Sai. I'm always interested. Rek'Sai for me is a very hit or miss kind of champion. You can really take over a game, but then also, if you get behind, end up being a little bit useless in a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Teemo could be interesting here, but I didn't think it was going to be.
Yeah, no, it would have been a fun one. But we do see so Akali and Nico actually being picked up there, both flexible. I know that both Ego and Zoinkas in the mid lane will both be able to play it, so they can flex that around a little bit if they want to. But interesting to see the Irelia actually being taken away as well. The Irelia pick, both Zoinkas and Ego Speed play that quite a lot, so it's a really vital flex pick to be taken away. They still have the flex picks on the Bulldog side, but it's definitely not as scary as it would have been if it was an Irelia.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see the Renekton ban come in from Bulldog as well, with this Karma kind of on the other side of things. Obviously, those recent changes, it's kind of would make a bit of sense to maybe at least keep the threat around. Ari as well, maybe a bit more of a target ban coming in. I don't see her, being picked quite as often as some of the other mid laners.
Yeah, no, definitely a target ban towards Tony there in the mid lane. See, a common thing with tonight has been comfort picks, and Kalista is a huge comfort pick for Gould. Not really shining very much in the meta at the moment, and Thresh as well. This bot lane, and we pointed it towards earlier, being returning members from the UKLC, they will have a lot of pre-built synergy up there. But Kalista and Thresh are really dominant lane, and it will hopefully match the power of Lucian Braum. I'm really excited to see how this bot lane is going to play out, actually.
Yeah, I think it may well come down to that. A lot of resources going towards the bottom side of things. It's kind of a really high damage team as well. I suppose, to be fair, on both sides, obviously we've got like one tanker piece kind of with the Braum and the Nunu on either side. Thresh kind of off tanking a little bit. So definitely will be interesting to see where this goes. But then it's obviously that Karma with the massive shields and Aurelia being so difficult to just kind of lock down if getting those resets consistently. I'm kind of excited to see where this one goes. I feel, I don't know. I think it's going to come down to that bot lane, but then there's also potential for like scrap in mid, especially where top, even though, then maybe not the tankiest, I feel like it is going to be a little bit of a slower lane on the top side of things.
Yeah, definitely. And I point towards Ego Speed again, criticizing people playing range top, but he's picked the Nico for some reason. He's been a bit hypocritical there, but Shadow in Flames actually a player that I can highlight on the NSG side of things. He has played previously in the UK scene for Proving Grounds. He was a decent player in that. He managed to play a lot of Xin there. That was a really highlight pick for him, but it'll be nice to see him on another aggressive pick like the Rek'Sai. And Tony, as I see another one, is quite the standout player in terms of the mid lane for their team as well. Getting to his hands on the Irelia, really, really strong pick. Going up against Zoinkas, he will have a hard time, but hopefully he can win out in that matchup.
Yeah, I think that kind of mid lane matchup really could end up making the difference. It's the bot lane that's maybe going to be an issue for NSG if they can't. But then in the same strain, we've talked about this Kalista and Thresh working really well together, kind of heavy on the bullying side of things. But then the Lucian Braum is also a very similar kind of playstyle, right? So very early exchanges, even just those little things like, obviously the CS discrepancies could really make the gap, a hell of a lot bigger. And then it's kind of like Lucian, if he doesn't get off to that good start, if he doesn't make use of his strong early mid-game kind of phases, then suddenly, maybe NSG are going to find themselves without an ADC, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And I will expect a lot of attention being paid to the bot lane by the junglers here. Nunu, traditionally a very supportive jungler, and I can expect a lot of that attention to be going down to the bot lane, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be exciting to see how that develops out. But I'm kind of interested, I talked about this top lane being a little bit slower. Where do you think the Nico is going to go in terms of build? Because obviously there's a fair amount of flexibility with that. I suppose the top side of things, it's more the glacial augment sort of thing, but I'm not a top player, I'll admit. So I'm kind of, like not quite so sure whether new things have kind of come through with this Nico recently.
Yeah, no, I would expect it to be a glacial augment. That's the most common thing picked up. I'm not a Nico player myself, but that's what I would expect to be coming out. It is really obnoxious. I think Nico coming into the game, and when she came into top lane, especially with that glacial augment now, it's just a really irritating champion to play against. Karma will be fine. It's not a melee matchup into it, but you will still expect to see that Nico really pissing off the enemy team.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what they're all about at the end of the day when you're picking the Nico, and it's just that kind of build in general, the constant slow into obviously Nico having the route through minions. It's just, like you say, it's going to be annoying, but then Karma is a really safe pick against it, so we may end up just seeing, I think it's going to be a very kind of stagnated top lane, if I'm being honest.
I
feel like that's what both teams are playing for.
Yeah, I don't expect to see a lot of action towards up there. If we're talking about comps overall, I think I actually prefer the NSG side of things. We're looking through that, I still expect Bulldogs to win. I think the individual players and this pre-built synergy they've got will come through for them. But yeah, I would have to give this draft over to NSG.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree, but we'll see. It's all going to depend, obviously. Again, like we've said, this bot lane expectation, the kind of the outplay potential that the Akali's got as well in the hands of Zoinkers. Maybe, if he gets a bit of a lead going, gets a solo kill or two after the help from the jungle coming in, could be that very obnoxious kind of pressure that's constantly around the map, that sort of one-shot potential quite early on as well if she's able to get ahead. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, I think, where it goes for Bulldog. It's sort of, I don't know. I really can't comment massively. I think that Kalista, is good in lane and then kind of drops a bit and then picks back up, right? Is generally the way that I'm used to things going. But again, there's a reason we don't see a lot of Kalista. Sure, it's a comfort pick, but how much is that gonna help you when you need that extra leg up on your opponents?
Yeah, no, and it is a really difficult bot lane they are going into against again with the Lucian and Braum. I would really point towards mid lane and jungle synergy for this game. Actually, I think that if Shadow and Flames and Tony can get the ball rolling for the mid lane and get the Irelia ahead potentially, Akali is quite a difficult champion to gank. But maybe if they perform some good roams, maybe to top, maybe to the bot side, if they're pushing up quite a lot, that could be where NSG pull things out.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of something, in all fairness, that Bulldog have maybe got. There's a little bit more safety in that top side. I think Nico can also be a little bit difficult to gank in a sense if you're not able to lock her down quickly. So they have some very safe lanes here, I think, and they've definitely got a bit of a win condition that ultimately, if they get ahead early, great, but I think they are looking to just kind of wait things out a little bit and then choose the key moment to strike rather than, creating chaos and just scrapping it out, so to speak, which I feel with what we've got, that Karma, especially obviously speeding everybody up fairly consistently. They're looking to get some relatively hard engages whenever they can.
Yeah, I think if they can exploit the early leads that they'll get through the bot and mid lane, it can really break the game open for them, allow them to move across the map and take things away from them. The Nunu will be quite strong in that and be able to move to things a lot quicker. I don't see it. You don't see a lot of Nunu in competitive, so it will be interesting to see. It's that and the Callista are definitely the oddball picks of this, but I'm still excited to see how they play out, especially with, like I said earlier, Gould on such a hard comfort pick of Callista and with the Thresh paired with it.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good way to open up the season. Obviously, as we've said, a lot of these players, especially on the Bulldog side, rather, are going to be a little bit, kind of nervous coming into it. Some expectations,
Certainly, yeah,
on their shoulders, and you kind of want to eliminate I'm a bit uncomfortable on Sivir or on Ezreal, so remove that kind of following the meta, go for something comfortable, and then you don't have to worry as much mechanically about how things are going to go.
Yeah, I think the Bulldogs will feel a little bit of pressure in this, retaining 3 out of 5 of what used to be a UKLC team. They have slightly upgraded in the jungle, I think, and then downgraded in the mid lane, but if this team or a similar version to it was in UKLC not many months ago, they didn't do too well, but still there will be a lot of expectations on their shoulders to be able to come out and beat these second division teams. Are you in game?
I am indeed. Are you?
I'm at 21 seconds, 22, 23.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think we're all good. We're all good.
And we see quite a standard start coming out from both teams, I think, here. I don't think either of them will go for the invade. You could do something with the Thresh Hook, maybe, but... Actually, no, never mind. The Braum level 1 would be way too strong. Yeah, no. Just a standard level 1 coming out from both teams.
Yeah, playing it safe. And again, it is kind of this early sort of teething period that we were talking about a little bit, you and I, in the pregame, where you don't want to be taking too many risks yet. They're not entirely sure of how these teams are going to work, where their strengths fully lie. Obviously, you can have a bit of an idea, but you just don't want to give anyone an early advantage. Again, we've talked about how strong the early game is for quite a few champions on the Rift in general on both sides, so you don't want to be giving anyone an early leg up, even in the sense of forcing them to back or whatever, and missing a bit of CS if that's what ended up happening. But unfortunately, it starts off a little bit boring. We've just got a few pings across, and obviously a conventional red side start for both junglers.
Yeah, so we will hopefully see the Nunu packing towards the bot side just to give them a little bit more of the support if the Lucian Braum do push up as you would probably expect. Shadow and Flames possibly maybe moving towards top side or mid lane, like we said, trying to get Tony ahead, trying to build up that mid jungle synergy to try and exploit the early game.
Yeah, it looks like that's what he's pathing for as well, going down to the Krugs, and then generally speaking, we'd probably expect him to move in and get that level 3 as quickly as possible, but pathing towards the mid area.
Yeah, there is a ward on the bot lane from the red side on Bulldogs actually, so that will be quite protected if he does choose to try and do that.
Well, we'll have to take a look. It's been a little bit slow. It's all about this kind of bot lane level 2 though. I think the Braum suddenly steps up at level 2 once kind of gets shield available, can play a little bit more aggro, and then obviously Thresh delivers quite a bit of damage for a support early on. And they hit level 2 at exactly the same time, so there's nothing too spicy coming in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said earlier, I think this bot lane will be the highlight at the moment, considering the Comfort and the Lucian Braum matchup as well. Both two champs that really synergize well together, but I think a lot of it will come down to the jungle difference in terms of where they place their pressure. And we got a mid lane gank coming in now, actually.
Oh, yeah, the Shroud taking second. Oh, nice knock up, and the stun does land, but just playing it patiently here. Zoinker's just going to wait it out in the Shroud, and as we spoke about, very, very difficult indeed to be ganking that Akali, and because she was so close to the tower, quite easily able to escape. So I suppose a bit of lane pressure, but even then the CS is relatively the same. Yeah, not a great deal coming there, unfortunately, for Shadow and Flames particularly, spending a lot of time in mid.
Yeah, no, it will be really difficult against the Akali. You would hope that Tony would try and bait out the Shadow before he comes in for a gank, but we've got a bit of action in bot.
Yeah, we do indeed. Nice hook coming through from the Thresh. Going to land. That's going to be the first blood picked up as well. It was the Flash Flay to open things up, and I have a feeling that they had a bit of an idea that ward had just dropped, I think, and they were on their way out, but unfortunately not quite fast enough. Obviously, again, that Nunu roll in the snowball brings a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I've said it many times in the last 5 minutes, but Gould on his Callista is good, and him receiving the first blood of the game is gotta put him in a lot of confidence for the rest of the game, on top of being a comfort pick.
Yeah, for sure. I think it. We've mentioned it a lot. Definitely one to watch, so to speak, or I suppose two to watch for a bit in the bot lane. But yeah, getting that first blood, it's good, but it's also, like you say, getting off to that really good start and kind of getting some of the jitters out of the way and being like, yes, I know why I picked this Kalista. The confidence definitely going to be pretty high at this point.
Yeah, and I'm loving the early pressure coming out from Commit. Looking at elos of all of the players, he is one of the imports that I look to as one of the sort of the S tier, A tier players as well. He has come in as the import, and he's providing a lot of pressure early game for the rest of the team.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, thankfully, because of the corrupting pots and some biscuits as well, Tony is able to stay, but he loses a hell of a lot of lane pressure, 10 CS down almost, and they're going to have to farm quite a bit under tower. The Thresh comes in, beautiful hook, in fact, but I don't think anything really going to be coming. That was actually a really good catch, to be fair, predicting the Q into the minions, of course. Ooh, this is interesting towards top. Yeah. Getting away, though, thankfully.
Yeah, no, I think Cat may have just been showing off a little bit. I don't know what they would have expected to come out of it, but another trade in the top side. I think just battling Klepto stacks back and forth, but Ego Speed is getting it quite low.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe going to have to force a back early on, perhaps. Does have the corrupting pots as well. Let's probably get those ticking and hopefully get up to scratch, although I believe neither of them have got any charges left, actually, saying that, so...
And Shadow and Flames, I don't believe he's seen here, so if he can get a good tunnel over... Oh. I guess that's not how the champion works, in fairness. I'm not a Rek'Sai player, maybe Shadow and Flames isn't either, but that's unfortunate. So he's exposed himself, wasted quite a lot of the time there, unfortunately, but he's going to hang his head in shame and go back and take the Krugs.
Yeah, it is definitely at the moment the jungle difference really having an impact. Shadow and Flames, I suppose, a higher level at the moment than Go Commit, but obviously Go Commit having a much bigger impact across the map, especially at the moment in mid. We were talking about how important that was going to be, and just this Aurelia being forced under tower for quite some time now.
Yeah, she does do fine CSing under tower, but it's still, you can see the impact it's having, just the sort of 5-4 all across the map, really, and we're actually seeing quite a big lead building up in the top lane here from Ego Speed.
Yeah, the annoyance of that Nico, the safety of that Nico, the TP of that Nico coming in towards middle. Are they going to go for the dive here? You don't generally see early dives at mid, but all the same, I mean, if they're able to land it, no minions at the moment.
Yeah,
the back coming in, though. Tony's got no idea at all. Stunned up, just permanently CC'd. I don't even know that the Ignite was required, but that's going to be that mid advantage solidified now as Zoinkers finds the assist, of course. Unfortunately, I suppose it goes the top way. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we are scrapping all over the place. Going to be another kill for gold. Surely it is. And I think this is maybe one of those things as well, you know, because Kalista's not been around in the meta for quite some time, some of these players maybe not respecting the amount of damage that she actually can output.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of unawareness in the trade there. They did go in for it, but unfortunately get picked off again. And going back to that mid lane fight, really good play from Ego Speed actually to get the TP in and gain an even bigger advantage in the top lane now with the 1-0 that he will have picked up.
We're going to see a bit more action here in the bot lane. I mean, they think the Lucian's on his own. Oh, that is messy, getting hooked under the tower. Not quite going to take the damage. The ultimate coming in, though, is to level up very quickly. He's going to try his best to survive, but just not going to happen. I believe... Wait, Gould healed. All right, I heard the heal. I thought it was coming in from the Lucian, so that's maybe a bit of a fat finger, but all the same, another kill. 3 kills already on this Kalista. Gould is flying right now.
Yeah, and that play just stunk of desperation, really, from Shadow and Flames, which really wasn't required. I mean, they're falling behind slightly, but going for that E there, maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit of lag, but it definitely just wasn't required.
Yeah, definitely questionable, I think is what we're both feeling. I think this is the way top lane's going to go most of the game, as we generally expect. You know, obviously that wet noodle fight normally, but I feel like it's just going to be sort of quick trades and whatnot, and then, you know, because the kill potential at this point at least is not really there for either of these players, but they have a lot of gank assist, I suppose, free Drake coming in, of course, towards the bot side. An early mountain is really going to, especially if that bot lane continues to get ahead, the damage to the towers and obviously that objective control in general is just really, really good to have early on.
Yeah, definitely. And we are still seeing the CS leads sort of build up in the mid lane now, and the top lane slightly. I do think that Karma will be slightly more even with the gold, the kill, because of the Klepto stacks that they've been trading back and forth on.
Generally what we expect. But yeah, I mean, this mid lane matchup's just been a little bit harsh. Unfortunately, I don't know, I suppose the Aurelia, definitely impactful, I feel, at least, in the team fights and also in the side lanes. But I don't know, if you're kind of behind, it's again one of those picks where you can just be a little useless. I suppose you have the stun, but you need to be ahead, you need to be dealing damage. Otherwise, you're just not going to have that impact that you're looking for.
Yeah, and as you can see on the gold lead here, bot lane nearly 1,000 gold up on Gould as opposed to the Lucian, really building up the farm and the kills.
Well, a little slowed down across the map, honestly, as we see some ganks trying to come in. There's a little bit of aggression in mid here, in top rather. I'm a little unsure. Ego's getting a bit aggressive here, honestly. He needs to be very careful. Obviously, that Karma can very quickly lock you up. Across comes the Akali, though, of course, having that priority. Great deal of damage. Ignite is going to do it. However, the Nunu coming in. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we've also got a fight going on. As Aurelia is so very late to this. Tony just kind of trapped in at middle. Okay, another kill coming onto the Karma as well. Meanwhile, in bot, a huge double, in fact, from the Lucian, as it is so scrappy across the map, but I suppose it's kind of, bad on one side and good on the other side.
Yeah, no,
unfortunate.
I really don't know how that happened. They're so far up. Maybe it's just the power of the matchup. Maybe it's them overextending. We didn't get to see it, but at the top side as well, Ego flexing his muscles there in the 1v2, and then when his team came to back him up as well, they managed to pay off, and they take the Herald as well, and pre-14 minutes, they'll be able to stack that on some of the plates, get a lot of gold onto one of the laners.
Yeah, it's just kind of the question of where do you want to send it. I feel the Akali here, it could be fantastic, if I'm honest.
Yeah, if I was commit here, I'd be trying to place it towards the mid lane. We do see Shadow moving up and towards the red side jungle here. Just gonna take the farm out.
Great deal of advantage, honestly, kind of coming in. I'd say across the board. I suppose that, that double comes in at bot, but it closes the gap as opposed to, creating an advantage for the NSG bot lane.
Yeah, no, still huge gold leads in the mid, top and jungle. But yeah, more evened out bot now after that double kill, but...
Ooh, we've got a bit of action in at the top lane. This is what we're talking about, though, the safety of that Nico. A fair amount of CC, however, gets rooted and just absolutely melted. A pretty key kill coming in. The Rek'Sai obviously quite far behind, unfortunately. So that kill will maybe start to give him a bit more cash, though. The issue now is the fact that Rift Arrow gets dropped in bot. A lot more money for Gould, of course, coming in. And everybody loving it. I mean, he is just flying right now. A little bit behind on the CS, in all fairness. So the advantage is not as far gone as maybe it could be. But all the same, just more money for this Kalista.
Yeah, no, in the top side gank there, Ego Speed thought he would have been safe with the ultimate coming out there, but still falls down to Shadow, and it's a good pickup there that they need to be able to turn around some of these solo lanes.
Once again, the Akali, just the main thing I think is the roam pressure, as we saw earlier on, when I believe getting both the kills with that action in at top.
Yeah.
Just the fact that she's able to shove in, Zoinkas can roam so readily towards that top side, especially where there's quite a bit of gank assistance, I suppose.
Yeah, picking up the Tiamat now, he will be able to push things out a lot easier and a lot faster to prevent the roams from Zoinkas being too disastrous. We do see ultimate coming in bot.
Ooh, yeah, we've got the Rek'Sai coming in behind. They've kind of engaged a little early, maybe. I'm not sure whether the plan is, to go for a dive or a little bit of a mind game. It would appear not, as the recall coming in from Shadow and Flames just going to back away. But yeah, I don't know, man. As we kind of see it come up, it's the Braum Ignite, it's the Braum Ultimate, it's the Lantern to stop the recall. But it's also the Lucian Ultimate as well. It's a lot spent from that NSG side, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. All you're really doing is just trading the 2 ultimates for the Kalista ulti. It's not that great. It was a good idea to try and go for it, but
ooh, another fight ensuing on the top side. Stopwatch coming in to kind of put an end to the ultimate. That's actually a fair amount of
the coming in, though.
Pressure. Yeah, the flank here through the tower. Oh, misses the shuriken. That would have been the chance. I mean, he expended his ult, but not really enough damage to get, the execute part of the second half of the ultimate. And still, though, even with that strong mid laner going top, they have the pressure here to go for the dragon. That's another thing that the Kalista provides is, a great deal of, I suppose, assistance to the smite of the jungler, with that rend.
Yeah,
so they have quite a bit of dragon pressure for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I will... Oh, a little gank coming in from the Nunu.
Yeah, the snowball lands, but at the end of the day, Tony is used to being under his tower, so he's not really that far extended.
Yeah, no, the amount of times we see Nunu coming in with the snowballs to that mid lane now, he should be really expecting it. And looking at the itemization, actually, of Tatsui in that matchup, I understand you need to be going the Iceborne Gauntlet, but with 3 AP topside, it's still a little strange to me to be picking up that earlier than the other MR items you might be wanting to take.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of that core part. Maybe get the Sheen, which obviously you did quite early on, and then sort of leave it there for a bit. In the sense, maybe if you're playing a tank, you go kind of like Barmy Cinder and then into an Adaptive Helm or Abyssal Mask or whatever MR you're after, rather than finishing a Sunfire Cape against a heavy AP kind of composition.
Yeah,
this could be a catch here. Ooh, yeah, they're definitely going for this. The Braum Fisher coming out, Ignite, Flash expended from that Braum, pretty much left once again with nothing. So they'll be fairly happy with that. They didn't really spend a great deal. I guess the Thresh Ignite is gone for a little while. The ultimate, the box, of course, not available either, but they'll take the Braum Flash. They'll take the Braum ult, because together, in tandem, those two things can really catch you off guard.
Yeah, definitely. And the more that I think about...
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, there's bits of action, and then it just all seems to keep picking up. Nice snowball coming in, get a 2-man stun. Once again, this Rek'Sai looks like he's going to be going down, and no return kill coming in at all. Tony tried his damnedest, flashing, igniting, throwing out the ultimate, and the bot lane was here in tow as well, so they're going to try and take this tower. Only the Braum to answer. Maybe in the bot lane,
the bot lane's going to go down first, tower. Yeah. Oh, just managed to clenches that out for the first tower goal, but I think they'll probably go for the second one as well.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue. That's kind of the trade-off that you go for. Because, I mean, the support, but especially Braum, he's not really got any wave clear to speak of.
Yeah. No.
So, yeah, I think they'll be happy with that, especially because, as you say, they get the first tower gold. They're also quite possibly going to get this top tower. I'm just narrowly going to miss out on it, but a lot of damage done. It's set up for later on.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely come soon. And the amount of gold that's getting into this Akali now, she's starting to look really scary. Thinking about the Karma pick as well, now that they're going the Klepto sort of like tank Karma build, I don't actually see where a lot of the AP damage is coming out of. You already see Commit itemizing really heavily towards the armor because there's just not a lot of magic damage coming out from NSG. Maybe a little bit of a mistake in draft there, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, to be fair. That is true there. And this is what I was kind of talking about. Both the Rek'Sai and the Aurelia have the, the kind of the caveat around them that they don't bring, I suppose Aurelia does a little bit, but they don't bring a massive amount of utility. So it's kind of, if you do end up going behind, if you're not dealing that massive damage, then you're maybe rendered a little bit useless, right? You've got like the knock-up from Rek'Sai, and you've got the stun from Aurelia, of course, but it's just, you need them to be having that massive pressure. This is ballsy. Zoinkers is going to go for it. Gets stunned up, though. However, still has the second part, once again, of his ultimate available. So he's able to escape. Flash coming in, though. The Rek'Sai really wants this. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get it. They are really, really greedy for the kills at the moment because they just need to find... Although the gold discrepancy isn't huge, they just need to find a little bit of cash, especially onto the Rek'Sai and onto the Aurelia.
Yeah, and Commit just being there for his laners when they need him, just coming in there, saving him from almost certain death, I would say. If they got the Rek'Sai ultimate off, I think he probably would have been gonzo then.
It certainly seems that way. They will have to back away. They will manage to get that bot tower as well on the Bulldog Esports side of things. Meanwhile, in mid, attempting it, but not really feeling it. And the Nico TP coming in as well. Of course, here comes the slow build. Not quite landing the hook, but yeah, fantastic ultimate. Able to survive as well, thanks to the stopwatch. The Lucian goes down, the shutdown cold going to Gould, and Braum quickly follows.
Yeah, and the Dragons just come up as well, but it looks like they're actually turning their heads towards the Baron with the Kalista.
Which is not even, well, it just came up, literally just came up as I started speaking. This could be important, though. I mean, at the end of the day, even if, you know, the Akali ends up going down, which I just don't think is going to happen, she wins that extended fight.
Yeah, no, she's
just
really
great pressure.
Protecting the rest of the team there, taking that Baron, and it's going to go down to them.
Yeah, and this is how you really snowball the lead, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, the gold discrepancy wasn't massive. It was maybe just kind of the good side of 1,000 golds for NSG, and now it's up to 4K. So in a matter of moments, the game has really shifted into where we felt like it was going, especially, again, this Kalista doing so well.
Yeah, and you can see how scared the team was of Akali then. They did not want to go near her, even when in a 2v1 situation. And it just gets them a free Baron for it. I mean, 5k ahead now for the Bulldogs side of the team. The Dragon up as well, I imagine they'll be able to take that pretty easily. That mid tower is also extremely low. They'll be able to pick that up pretty easily with the Baron. I mean, I see a lot of gold coming into Bulldogs now, which is just going to extend it even further.
Right. They have a lot of options available to them. Obviously, the blue buff here going to be great. I mean, Akali already has a fair amount of energy regeneration, but plus the blue buff, really going to be helpful. Because, I mean, we've been talking about Gould an awful lot, but, you know, Zoinkers is just really scary right now. You've got that consistent DPS coming in from Kalista, and then you've got kind of the burst and the power to zone and the almost impossible to kill Akali at this point with how far ahead she is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think that Nunu is actually killable at this point either.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen him pick up the Gargoyle Stone Plate. He's got so much armor there, and there's no magic damage apart from, you know, an empowered Karma Q, which isn't going to do a lot with the lack of AP that she has. So it looks like they're going in here.
Yeah, I was going to say the snowball not quite landing. However, we've got a pretty big Nico flank. Not really finding anything, though, as, you know, just sticking together the tight-knit group.
They're still trying it.
The Lucian, though, got to be careful.
For a big
He's
ultimate.
Going to go over the wall. Huge ultimate coming in from the Nico. They're trying their damnedest here, but the damage is just absolutely massive. Nunu ult to cover things up. It's going to be the ace, surely. A flawless ace as well, by the looks of things. And, yeah, just all falls apart. And, I mean, with the Baron here, they're going to be able to get so much from that team fight.
Yeah, no, extremely clean. I mean, thinking about it, maybe they could try that. Maybe they're going to try and end the game. There's about 20 seconds on everyone to come up. They will all come up at the same time. They do have a full wave going in there, and they also have the Nunu to tank it if necessary. Maybe they are going to go for it.
Right.
Actually, oh no way. It's like 10 seconds left. They'll probably just back after this. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made. You know, possibly get a tower, but at what cost, kind of thing.
Cat just trolling his teammates there a little bit.
Classic.
Poor Zoinkers, but they'll pick up.
I think that one was on purpose.
Yeah, no,
to be
definitely.
honest, but
Cat just thresh mastermind. He just needs to get that Nunu to the dragon as fast as possible. But you can actually see over here Zoinkers waiting in the wings just to see if he can protect the dragon.
Yeah, really loving kind of just playing on his own because he is so strong. Just able to kind of look after himself at the end of the day and easily, I think, at this point, kind of, you know, 1v3 at the very least in a zoning sense. Just Just so strong. Just
yeah,
so,
with his
so
ultimate
strong.
up, I could easily see him going in 1v3, 1v2, taking a kill, and then being able to escape at the same process.
Definitely looking good. Either way. We'll see. Are they going to be able to find anything back here? On the NSG side, it is so difficult at this point in time. They're just so far behind. You know, I suppose we've seen infamously, I guess, in the LEC, the Fnatic Deathbrush, maybe something along those lines. But they really need to take a fight that is heavily in their favor, because playing into the hands of Bulldog is just not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the most clear-cut game we've seen all evening when you add up everything in terms of the gold lead, what the team comps have ended up playing out as. Like, I don't see a way that NSG actually clear the front line of Bulldogs in any way, and the amount of damage that they've got from the Nico, the Akali, the Kalista, I really struggle to see a way that NSG can win a fight.
It is going to be really tough, and it's kind of where this Karma comes in, almost, you know, providing a lot of utility, but then those damage players, you know, we've talked about quite a bit. The mid, the jungle, damage-wise, just pretty much non-existent. And the Lucian at this point is not hyper carry enough, you know, to dish out the damage that they need. So it's a really tough situation at the end of the day. At the moment, just sitting, defending. Akali, of course, pushing out the side wave, and the rest of the team trying to create pressure over towards top. I mean, it feels like it is all said and done at this point, but
yeah, there is enough wave.
You never know.
Yeah, there is enough wave clear on the NSG side to hold things out, but when that Baron buff comes up in a minute, I don't see a way that they'll be able to challenge it, and after that, there's not going to be a decent way to clear waves, and I think those inhib towers will fall after that.
Yeah, it's very much kind of, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If they go near the Baron, they probably lose the fight. There's maybe a chance if, you know, it gets stolen, if Shadow and Flames can go for the 50-50, but it's definitely risky. And that seems to be looking at his positioning, what he's trying to set up for a little bit. But they don't want to give away too much, right? If he goes in, he dies. It's not a great deal of that kind of wave clear taken away. But obviously, if he steals it, it could be a bit of a turning point. Although, I don't know at this point whether it would be enough for Kali moving over.
Going in.
Yeah, he's going in that 1 versus 2. Don't know if he's really going to be able... Okay, going straight deep in. Yeah, that damage is absolutely huge. Got 4 levels on the Rek'Sai, in fact. So even I'm underestimating the power. Unfortunately, not quite able to find the kill, but that's going to be, of course, you know, everything that they need to go for this Baron. Leaving the jungler on low HP, he's going to be out of action for a good 25 seconds here, and in that time, I feel, again, with the Kalista, with the double mountains, Baron's going to have gone by that point.
Yeah, no, 5k down, they've got the Kalista stacks in it, they're sort of moving towards it, but there's no real challenge here, and Nightmare Zed just zoning them off that quite well.
Yeah, relatively good stuff. A free Baron, one might say. What the heck's just happened there? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, a little bit of a misplay from Zoinkers, but... I mean,
yeah, maybe getting a bit too big for his boots.
Yeah, I think at this point though, they can still pressure 4v5 with the Baron and the rest of the team. I mean, Zoinkers is a big loss, but I think they will still hold out here, try and push in a little bit more.
Right, and of course, I suppose the silver lining at this point, we're talking about needing to get back into it, etc., etc. It's the Braum who gets the shutdown gold, so, you know, if that had been onto the AD especially, it could have made a massive difference, but...
Yeah.
Instead, it's just a little difference, you know, kind of maybe grounding Zoinkers, you know, knocking his confidence a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, trying to think of ways that NSG could cut back into the game. I think Casper, the AD carry for NSG, big highlight player. I think he's probably one of the best AD carries in the league. Maybe if he was on a hyper carry that could have scaled a bit better into the late game, I would have had a bit of hope for them. But on this Lucian, I think that Kalista's just going to have that much more scaling and power in the late game anyway, not even thinking about the gold difference in items.
Yeah, and it's just the amount of pressure that he has at the moment. I suppose you say, you know, obviously it doesn't really matter so much about whether they have more or, you know, less items or whatever it may be, but it is the case that obviously everybody pretty much on this Bulldog side are a hell of a lot stronger.
They are just going to go for a little desperation play, steal, I think, and oh no, it's just gone.
Yeah, not going to happen. Again, Kalista, you've also got the Consume. of the Nunu. There's so
no
much
way
like
it's going.
burst damage to go along with that smite, right? It's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that a single objective has gone to. Sorry, I'm not surprised that a single objective hasn't gone to NSG with the amount of secure they have in the Nunu and the Callista and the amount of pressure they've been able to exude.
For sure. Just removing bits of vision as they try to push back down towards this now respawned inhibitor with the Baron buff. Not really committing too much, but there's definitely, I feel, going to be a fight around this inhib. I don't think NSG are going to let it go for free.
No, I mean, you kind of just have to at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe you wait until it's under a tower. I think the inhib's too difficult to defend at this point, and they don't really have the engage to actually stand up to it, and there's too much dodge, but they're going to try.
Yeah, I was going to say, they were definitely looking for it. The Rek'Sai just gets absolutely bursted. The Glacial Fissure coming in. This Nico now has got the flank. They did not account for that at all, and Lucian, all that damage is just bursted down. And again, it's an absolutely flawless team fight coming in. Unfortunately, Tatsui is just miles away, and yeah, that will indeed be all she wrote. A really, really good showing from Bulldog Esports.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the most dominant games we've had of the night. I think everyone actually performed really well. There have been a couple of missteps from everyone, people getting caught out, people getting caught out in lane, maybe not doing the best 2v2s, but a really strong performance from every single member. I mean, I think of the pot blossoms that Egospeed was able to get off in the flanks of those fights, and it's really difficult to think of who the MVP I would award to. I mean, what do you think?